Hello, and welcome to DCP episode. I have absolutely no idea. Beats me.
What episode we're on?
I don't know.
412.
412. Okay, it's a lot of episodes. Today we have some Destiny. They did a showcase thingamabob. There was a little Destiny showcase thing. Myelin has a rant he wants to go on, which I'm very excited about.
What was that a grand again?
Something about a certain guy coming back.
Oh, that was that was a YouTube comment. Yeah. I mean, we can rant if you want to rant, but that's
you got a lore rant? I knew it.
Well, I streamed Pokemon this morning because there was new Pokemon Pocket Packs. Had lots of people saying, "Oh, I didn't know you played Pokemon," and then a lot of people were like, "Excuse me, I thought you've only played one game for the rest of your life, and that's Destiny. So what do you think you're doing? Goodbye."
He read the entire message to me. Yeah, it was a scathing review, I would say.
I've got the message if you want to hear it from Drew.
Yeah, bring it up, Myelin. But then we can, this leads into a whole bunch of conversations. It's Destiny related and it's content creator branching out related.
Okay, I mean, look, okay, here you go.
Okay.
From Drew.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not being funny. Just in case I was gonna laugh.
You're being funny right now. I don't know about is it Drew? It's not being funny.
But I've been subbed for years. You subbed for years. I don't even know what the F this channel was supposed to be anymore. Bro's tanked since tapering off from D2. Unfortunately, I'm just no longer interested. That's it.
Did he need to? I mean, he could have just said, it's not for me anymore, but appreciate all your other content. Or you don't say anything, but
I mean, yeah, I had another comment yesterday that was like a 7-year subscriber. 7 years. But I mean, I went off, but this is kind of the
Did you respond to him?
Oh yeah, in the live stream. This is a live stream.
Okay, I was wondering if you responded to him like.
Comment.
Oh, so the person came into your live.
I would like to read what you said.
I no
wait, no,
longer
you
want to
right.
watch your content.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was doing a live stream of Pokemon this morning because the new packs came out, and I thought, hey, that'll be fun because I'm sure some people play Pokemon, and if they like Pokemon, they can hang out. And because they just introduced trading in the new in the new Pokemon, so
wait, they just introduced trading in Pokemon the trading card game. Fascinating.
Yes.
Development. Crazy though when you think about it.
Crazy.
Do they have cards in this game yet?
Yes, there's also cards in the trading card game.
All right, sorry.
And Digabell. Anyway, so well, to be honest, it was a delayed feature because the game is free to play, and obviously you have to spend money if you want to try and collect all the cards, and if you can collect all the cards straight away, then they would probably lose money. Anyway, they just introduced trading, so I thought, oh, that would be nice. Maybe maybe some people do actually play Destiny. They might see this stream on YouTube, and I've got a Discord. People can say what they're looking to trade, what they want to buy, what they want to sell, because you need to be friends with people, you need to add them, and of course there's a whole trading system of currencies and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I streamed Pokemon this morning, and so obviously I wasn't playing Destiny, and that was one of the few comments in the live stream. But
Lovely.
Yeah, what'd you say?
I guess. Well, what I said, I can't repeat exactly what I said, but I think it is an eye-opener in the sense that, I made Destiny content for 10 years and I had extreme loyalty to making Destiny content. And some of the time I didn't even like playing Destiny. There was years in there where I was like, I don't enjoy this, but I'm doing this because, people really enjoy it. And I gave a huge amount of loyalty to that and commitment to that. And I'm probably at the point now where I think I'm more realistic when it comes to looking at YouTube, and it's people are just going to watch what they want to watch. And I understand I built a Destiny channel and people want to see Destiny, but Destiny will end at some point, and I don't see a future for it. I don't see hope for it. Maybe it comes good, but at the end of the day, I have played it for a decade, and I'm kind of ready to move on with the next chapter. And catering to just making Destiny content is I think will be the end of me doing this as a job. So like I need to do variety. I need to do other games. I need to just play the things I like, and then that will slowly build people who like variety in different games and doing different things. And like the double-edged sword with me making a Destiny lore channel is like that's the only thing people ever wanted to watch and see was Destiny lore. And that was
Or
great
they
for
want to
building a
see
channel,
lore
but
from
it's
other games now too. So if you were like maybe
true.
doing like Warhammer
True.
lore, you did Path
Yeah.
of Exile lore or Monster Hunter
Yeah.
lore, people would be like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
lore of a game I'm interested in."
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? One of the things I introduced to the channel, which maybe now that I think back on it was nice, was my moaning minutes, because it was, I mean, I guess it was complaining and drama, and some people like getting in on that. But, you know,
It
at
was
least
you.
spoke a bit more freely and a bit more openly. And it was a bit more me than just like, here is something that you need, which
Yeah,
is me
yeah.
reading Destiny lore for you for forever. So I said that with a lot more F words and maybe a couple C words in there. Probably make a good YouTube clip, but you know, I think at the end of the day, like I appreciate people who watch the content and did that kind of stuff and enjoyed it. And I understand if you don't like it anymore, but just like the way you say it, it's just so grinding sometimes. It's like I don't
Well,
need to, you know, I don't know.
it's really passive aggressive to like go to tell someone, I no longer want to watch you do your thing. Like, and therefore that's the piece that's missing, right? You're like, oh,
Yeah.
but I really loved all the time you covered
Yeah.
Destiny 2.
Yeah, sure.
I
Yeah.
hope you cover it again sometime, because I'll be there, man.
Yeah,
Because I really loved
exactly.
it. And you know, even
Yeah.
that is like kind of like missing a piece of bread in the sandwich, if it makes sense, right? It's like, well, why show up with a half-made sandwich? Like, what are you really accomplishing by saying, well, I love you, I'm not going to watch you anymore, but I loved what you
Look,
did? Or just be
I
direct.
hate the love you thing as well, because you don't really.
Well,
You
yeah, I
like
mean,
that
I'm
I
being,
made lore videos
I
for
don't
some,
love you.
that's what you like, you know? Yeah. Really? Come on. I love you,
see,
Fran.
sometimes you say stuff you don't mean. I agree.
Anyway,
No,
it's a
no.
time to change. I like times are changing. Every single Destiny content is making variety content, even the top tier guys. I mean, look at Astacross playing Warframe. Like, that's absolutely insane numbers doing on Warframe for a game that is that old. Like, his live streams are like 100,000 views on live streams, kind of on YouTube, which is crazy. I think it's the expectation that content creators are only going to ever play one game is kind of
Yeah,
nutty
it's
to
not.
me.
Yeah, it is unrealistic, but we all know what they're really getting at. Like, it's they're, to me, it always comes off in that situation as like they're kind of disgruntled, and they have to share it with you instead of just being like, you don't have to share
Yeah.
that. Like, why?
Or I
What's the
have
point?
got some good ones, which are just like, thanks for the good times. Thanks for 10 years of free content. Appreciate it. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, man. No problem. Like,
And that was my point. It's like,
I'd rather leave. I actually had a comment a while ago, and they were kind of right. They were just kind of like, just leave it at that. Just leave it at that, and just remember it as a good thing, rather than like adding all this drama to it when I was kind of doing other
think
bits and
it's
pieces about how much I
important.
dislike Destiny.
I think it's important to remember that people are real people. So when you're talking to people, it's a real person that you're talking to. So you don't need to. I think what Fran is saying is true. Is like they want to express that they're disgruntled about you not doing the thing anymore. Well,
Yeah.
it's just important to remember that people are real humans, and when you're talking to them, you might affect someone's day, and you might make someone's day bad for the entire day because you left a comment somewhere. So
yeah, and like you're in the middle of working and entertaining a bunch of people too, and it's like distracting you with that is not, the way to do it.
and it's totally fine if you don't want to watch any of the new stuff that someone's playing or creating. It's
exactly.
we're not like, how dare you not watch me? But
Yeah.
it's like, you don't need to make it hurtful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like constructive feedback and everything, but yeah, like there's the right time. Yeah, when someone's live, you could always tweet that at someone too, but also do it in a way that is, like we're saying, is more objective and conversational. It's like, yeah, if I sat down, let's say I had never met Myelin and I only watched him because I loved his lore videos, and I was able to spend like 5 minutes now to get talked to and be like, oh, what have you been up to? Do you stream Destiny anymore? You know, like that would be the conversation, right? I wouldn't just walk in and be like, hey, Myelin, oh, dude, I used to watch you, but I'm not watching you anymore. And I'm probably never going to watch you again. But anyway, see ya. And just turn my back and walk away, right? Like, because that is what it feels like. And you're just, that's what it feels. It's not that we can't take constructive feedback, you know. It's just like, yeah, like, what's it be? Think what it would be like if somebody was telling you that, you know.
Yeah.
It's such a look. Content creation is such a weird space because it's such a part of it is about building community. Part of it is about connecting people. Part of it is about providing like cool places to hang out where you have similar interests, right? But then you have this side of it is like as soon as the interest differs, everything just disappears for a lot of people. Like obviously I've got a core amount of people that have stayed on Twitch and on YouTube streams and all that kind of stuff, but big portion of that just disappears. You know, to go from like 50,000 views per video to like 2,000, it's like, you know, it's hard being a content creator and putting so much effort into like community building, but then realizing that it's built on just that one game. I think that's like the big struggle, well, for me anyway. And then it's like, okay, like I gotta not be so sensitive about that. Like, yeah, I gotta keep focusing on building people and like building communities and, you know, finding people that like games that are like me, but also be ready that if they don't, that it's see ya kind of deal, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
as well.
Like, I mean, I think you just hit the nail on the head, right? Which is you have to focus on the stuff you know you're passionate about creating and finding that thread and that resounding, you know, sort of noise, and be like, oh, that's the tone, so to speak, to focus on is what I'm getting at. Or there's going to be a lot of other noise about, well, you've changed things and why do you, and even trying stuff maybe that doesn't resonate. But, you know, the point is you only should listen to the stuff you're focused on as like the path. So anyway,
there you go.
Well, that's too bad.
Mylin's exactly. Anyway, that's too bad.
I think we had a content creation chat relatively a few times now, and I think we've had good feedback on that. So
there you go.
Let it all out. We're here. Like,
you want to let it all right? Because we could do that or go into Destiny, because there are things to say about my content creation journey.
Oh, you got stuff to say about Destiny or what? Your content creation journey?
Yeah. Just before we move on, I'm the only Destiny fan on the show. Nobody here likes it. They hate it. And I'm the only one still playing. No. But no, I am.
You're the only one playing.
Right now that's focused on playing it. You know, I'd say in a more... I've always played like the updates, and that will continue. But we're always talking about it on the show, even if not as deeply as before.
Yes.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about it now?
Might as well. There's a lot of
all
big
right,
news.
because there was a showcase.
The reveal. Where should we start? I didn't know if that was a segue to me. Wait, I'm
take it away, Frankie. Destiny times.
All right. Yeah. I'm also I keep the time code for the show and everything too, so I was typing that. Yeah, look, they had a reveal this week. I've actually had a busy kitchen week again. If you've been following the show, a bunch of home improvement nonsense, and I'm still forging through it. So I was not laser focused and 100% into the weeds and details. But yeah, I mean, look, next Tuesday is the new episode 3 Heresy, and they revealed the activity. They revealed the artifact. They revealed the tome of, what's it called? You can focus weapons. They revealed a bunch of new weapons, exotics, and of course, you know, we know the raid race is on, is it the 7th of February? Yeah. It's not raid. Misspoke. The dungeon race.
Dungeon, yeah.
The contest mode is coming back. This time they're only going to do, you know, focus on the first place winner. But anyway, that is the 7th. So if you are getting down for that, man, there's a lot going on here, and a new artifact and all that stuff. But I would really, for me, only point out like what I'm always interested in. So what stood out the most to me is finally seeing, okay, what are you bringing me back for, really? Like a dungeon I'm always in on, but I am a PvE player. And so this new activity is called the Nether. And so I don't know what to think of it yet. I didn't watch it super close, but we're back in the Dreadnought. There's something going on with Sloan having some taken powers, and then now we're going to figure out how to harness that stuff, and there's a lot to unpack there. But it's a 3-player activity, and they were saying it has some like roguelite elements. I believe we're actually going to be a bit nerfed in how we get our I think was get our health back, and so we're gonna
Yeah.
have health.
Yeah, you don't get health back at all. You have
Yeah.
to like heal each other with weapons or abilities, or you break pots to get healing and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you watched it eyes on closely, right, Watts? Like
No.
no, okay. I thought you
No.
said you.
I had it in the background, so I was listening to some stuff.
Yeah. So let me just read it in their words real fast. But it is the summary was it's got roguelite inspiration. Yeah, there's something new with like how your health is going to be working. And it is inspired from the Coil and the Shattered Realm, which I actually have always liked Shattered Realm a lot. And the Coil was a huge hit too, obviously. So they've kind of taken inspiration from both of those.
Yeah.
So real fast, in their words, they say, the Nether looks to vary the experience of each playthrough with random patrol zones, encounters, and objectives. The Nether will also offer 3 different modes, each with a unique focus, offering even further ways to vary things. So the Nether will also offer unique modifiers, ways to power up as you battle through your runs. You'll come across boons, which offer stackable buffs to help power you up. And then they were saying you might remember that from the Coil back in Season of the Wish. The boons you choose dramatically increase your Guardian's capabilities. Maybe with more ability regen or damage, or just with stronger damage from weapons, etc. So we'll see how it is. I'm looking forward to playing it. And the other big news in the stream that we've talked about a lot on the show, and Myelin, I'm sure you heard this from your chat already, is if not, it's going to be a surprise. The Holo projector, they're like, yeah, we get it. We don't want you always going back to the Holo projector. So they didn't reveal how that's going to work, but we all are very familiar with constantly having to go back to it. And they said there's a new like mechanic or something going on with it. So
They're getting rid of the. I have not heard this. They're getting rid of the Holo projector.
I don't know if they said it that it's gone so much as like we get that you don't want to keep going back to it, and we have something new with like getting updates from the Holo projector. So my first thought was like, oh, maybe we just pull our ghost out and they just replaced it there. But they are addressing it, so it'll be interesting to see that, at least, maybe not having to always go back. So
they probably just made it so like if Ido's standing right next to the projector, you don't talk to Ido and then talk to her on the projector.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's that. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be.
You haven't mentioned the big thing. Isn't Oryx returning?
Oryx is returning in some way. Yeah, like the actual art of the season has him like ghostly peering over the edge of the like dreadnought ship or something over the top of it.
Yeah, I forgot about that part, to be honest with you. I'm so focused on the gameplay.
Tune in next time for Fran's breakdown of Oryx's return lore.
No, dude. I still don't even did we wrap up with Aramis breaking out of prison and we went into the exotic mission. Let's see, I don't
know, brother. That's on you.
I played it. I'm not actually the lore guide. We're making fun. I do play all the content, but I can't keep track of the lore.
You gotta be the Destiny guy.
I mean, I will be. I'm playing next week. And they're not forcing, again, I was kind of joking before we segued into it, but I literally do, I still play every week.
Fran does play, yeah. And we want Fran to talk about what he's playing. So.
Yeah, honestly, for real, the biggest thing for me, and I know other players are just kind of burnt out, I don't mind kind of just hopping in. I'm definitely feeling that 10-year burn, as I've talked a lot about, but as I often repeat, it really is the upkeep. My Postmaster's always full. There's no new tools. And even if I can clear 50 spaces or 100, it's just going to fill up like immediately. And like, I'm tired of like looking at and comparing loot in a lot of games. I'm worn down on it. We'll probably talk about it more on the show, but we finally did our Destiny community podcast charity stream incentive that we did for GCX Watts.
Yeah, but you know what you're not tired of? Monster Hunter World.
So I just started playing World. But the point is, I'm not like every run I go to kill a monster, I don't have all this loot like filling my coffers,
He's got materials to do.
Yeah, but the materials are like whatever; those are fine. You throw them away when they're full. So, but anyway, I hope
you're not throwing monster materials away.
No, I haven't had to. I mean, I don't know what the cap is, but
you will never reach it.
But yeah, look, on Destiny, the wrap up is very similar to what we've been saying recently. There is so much new news. Like Trials is changing. We've touched on that. Episode 3 is finally hitting, though. This is the last of the light and dark lore, though. So there is going to be some big stuff in there. So I'm absolutely playing it. I think it's going to be better to get in there, actually play it. Like, why talk about something that's coming, 4 days from now? Because I'm not the guy that's going to tell you the awesome volatile void build, which you should look into, some crazy stuff that's in the artifacts. You got all those people out there to get prepped if that's what you're doing. But I am looking forward to playing it and seeing, as I'm like, how do they evolve this live service? Even if the gameplay is samey, is the word I would use. It's always high quality for me. But the biggest thing, I'm just kind of like all the upkeep and the back and forth from a HAL projector, and we've seen the transition. So I'm very curious to see what they've done with this one. And the last interesting note that they, I forget if it was in the live stream or in here, but there's going to be a weird thing because SAG and AFTRA have been on strike. And so the voice actors were not able to perform in a number of cases. And they didn't like explicitly say who and what. But I mean, I know personally, like Morla is part of the SAG AFTRA. Like, she's like, so Eris is a part of this. So their performance is there. Sorry. Their story and lines are there. Their performance is not there.
Does it say what they did for the voice?
So it's just subtitles, as far as I understand. So
no voice, just subtitles.
Yeah, so they were talking about that. So that's going to be kind of here. They say you may notice certain lines being silent in the game. However, we've enabled subtitles by default. So it's going to be interesting if that actually goes awry at all. But of course,
wait, so their mouths will be moving and the subtitles were there, but no voice.
They didn't say it explicitly, but yeah, you'll notice voice lines being silent. So yeah, what else are they doing? So this is pretty wild. And to translate this for people who don't understand, they'd be scabs, right? So Bungie had a decision to make. If they were like, well, if you can't do it because you're part of the guild, I mean, they're not going to like do that and hire a temporary performer while you're on strike. Like that's absolutely like the worst thing to do. So they kind of can't, and it's good practice. Of course, they're there to support the actors and support those people. So it's a really interesting situation. We're going to probably see this in other games too.
Can you tell me more about this strike? I don't really know anything about it. Like what?
Oh man. I mean,
do you know much about it?
For a while, there's been numerous actor strikes. It's about stuff like capturing performances later to be used and fed into AI, digital versions of yourself. Basically, contracts, that's part of it. Use of artificial intelligence is like a big one. And I also like, digital replicas and stuff like that. So this is like a bunch.
So a lot of like AI kind of stuff. And then was it also like pay, or was it mainly about like getting some regulation around the use of AI for?
It's about, you'll get stuff in games where they may only need, like they're doing stuff now where they already, let's say Bungie could take lines from Morla, Eris, right? Morla Gorondona, take lines from her and just, if the contract had allowed it, just feed it in there. And then ongoing for the next 10 years, continue to use an AI version. Be like, well, hey, our budget's changed, and it's like, there's all sorts of nuances in that. And I haven't like caught up on the nuance part, but it's a lot of stuff like that. And again, digital replicas. So you have stuff like, I'm trying to think of an actor that you actually see in a game, but like an actual actor that appears like their actual likeness,
give their face,
how they use that as well, going forward. But yeah, I think it's a lot about AI protections, as always, wages and fair wages, and how they do that stuff. But artificial intelligence was like a big piece of it. Yeah, messing everything.
Okay, so I guess they did the right thing. Is kind of what Chad's looking at, saying here that they didn't replace it with AI and.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
What do you call a scab? I think someone to step in, like a temporary voice actor or something.
Or sorry, it's on the opposite side. But if Morla had, say, broken the strike and worked across that,
Oh.
line, then it would be she'd be the scab. Sorry, I'm sorry for bringing her
Oh,
up so much.
is that what that means? Okay.
I forget what it's called when it's on the other side, if they have a nickname for it. Like if Bungie just decided to
Find someone
hire.
who's not
Yeah, like
not
they could
striking.
hire me. I'll do a fake Zavala. They can't hire, they could do that. Or, do stuff like use, who knows, AI. I mean,
So
it would
I
be
guess they're
very
hoping
bad.
they'll go back and add in the voice lines once the strike resolves, right?
I don't know, man. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Maybe not for an
It's
episode.
weird, right?
I mean, lucky it's an episode, not a expansion.
Yeah, it's a wild situation, but shout out to all those workers and people on that picket line. Like this was even happening, for example, like attending the Game Awards. There's people in SAG-AFTRA, like just attending can even be like a game event, like stuff like that is sort of, you got to be mindful of like all of the union stuff. So definitely it's a tricky situation, but everybody, of course, that is sane is supporting these rights. There's definitely some wild stories about things that have already been used and contracts that people have got where they completely just writing in, yeah, we'll just have you, and then we can always
we have your voice and
your
likeness forever, kind of stuff. Yeah.
So actors are going through this too. Like I said, their likeness, digital replica stuff. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, so did they speak about that on the dev stream? Or just said that there's some there's some lines that are missing because of this, pretty much.
Yeah,
right.
no, that's what I read verbatim there was about the subtitles. So what they're saying is you're going to notice that there's some lines that are just like silent, but we've hopefully, I mean, they don't say hopefully, but I'm saying hopefully there's no bugs. The words will like default on the screen. So you can't miss that if you're like, what? You just look down but it creates accessibility issues, obviously. I don't know, what... Like if there's, I don't know that it has like audio text readers. You know what I'm saying? So like accessibility issues for people who can only hear and are, sight impaired, etc. So it's tricky for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had the activity. We had RX. We had that. Anything else?
I mean, again, there's like
Isn't a bunch about weapons? Something about vulgar weapons or something?
Oh yeah. Well, you can go. Oh, they did open up Vault of Glass. Weapons you can now go in, get deep sights, and craft. So that is huge. So you'll be able to obviously go make all those amazing weapons from Vault of Glass. So that'll be good. And then they also have the tome, which I didn't read too much into, but it is, what is it called? Tome of... I'm gonna look it up. Again, we should just cover it next week. I know Watt stepped away for a second, but we can, unless you have more that you want to cover on Destiny, we can just move off it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to hear about your Monster Hunter experience. Monster Hunter World was a donation goal to have. You've never played it before. To have What's backseat you.
Yeah.
Oh, just in time.
What loves it, and then apparently now you love it.
Yeah, so that was coming up on a week ago. So it's probably, I know Watts has a lot more Monster Hunter Wilds news to share, but the biggest news is definitely that we did about an 8-ish hour stream. She backseated me, and I tried to solve a bunch of audio problems live on stream. But aside from that, lots of fun, learned a lot, great teacher, very patient.
Thank you.
I thought she was going to make me use something wild. But no, she knows I love Charge Blade, so I ended up on Charge Blade, and it's been like super fun. And then I kept coming back. I'm like, well, let me come back one more. I want to reinforce. And then I was like, you know what? I kind of want to just craft that one thing and then see, like, so I realized, like, I want to keep going and then be ready for Wilds, where, the difference was I was like, I get what it is. I might as well just wait for Wilds. And I just didn't want to spend too much time in the world, but it's legitimate. It's such a high polish, fun experience, and fun gameplay loop was the big thing that I always stayed away from it, as I told everybody. I'm like, because I would like it. It has MMO style, crafting, or just RPG, boilerplate type stuff. So I knew I would get addicted. And I know it sounds funny. It's like, why don't you play a game that you like? I'm like, because there's all these other ones that I want to play, But here we are. So I'm full on spending a lot of time with it, about 30 plus hours.
There you go, 30 hours in.
So What did you think of the combat? This is the first time doing any combat in Monster Hunter game?
He played a
Well,
bit of the
I
beta, like a little bit of the beta.
Oh, okay. So
and
you
like
kind of knew
Rise,
what to
which was
expect.
yeah, and a little
Because
bit
it
of
can
Rise.
be a bit jarring, I think, when the first time you play any Monster Hunter game. Like, I don't think you really understand what the combat's going to be until you get into it.
Yeah, Wilds taught me that. And I had seen my brother had played like tons of it. So I always had seen him playing it a ton. And I mean, I've seen Watts play it. So I'm very familiar with what it was and have played, games like that. But no, the combat didn't surprise me. It was actually the loop. More specifically, I was like, these are long hunts and like, yeah, I'm sniffing the ground and like picking stuff up. And I'm like, you know, would that get tiring? I sort of thought like, oh, it'll be fun for a while, but is that gonna like go on for too long? But what happens is, for me, I was like, man, you really like the hunt. There's a lot to do in between. You kind of need to, oh, I didn't craft this, and what do I have? I'm still learning though, so everything is like frothy and new. But yeah, the loop is good. And as soon as you get done, you're like, whoa, what new thing can I craft? And oh, I need like a plate from Radabon. I'm like, how long is that going to take to get? A Rathian plate or whatever. So yeah, the gameplay loop's so strong. So I'm really looking forward to Wilds
Yeah.
now.
And it's
Now
pretty
really
well
looking-
like balanced. I feel like you often have just naturally most of your like materials, and then you have to maybe like hunt something specific for just a little bit. But I never really felt like I was missing all the things that I needed. I was just kind of
Yeah.
getting them from the campaign anyway. I guess when you get to end game, you like really want to hone in on something specifically, then maybe you got a few more materials. But I was like, oh, I'm just missing a plate, or I'm just missing like a couple bits. And if I do 2 hunts, I'll like have enough materials to craft
Yeah,
the
that's
new
true.
armor
Actually,
that I
it's
want.
it's well balanced with that, because that's what also will keep you going. Like, oh, I'll just go do like one more hunt because I just need this one material. Because you're never like, if you looked at it and you're like, I need 5
You had, like,
plates and
yeah,
7 claws,
yeah,
and
you wouldn't
you'd be
do it.
like, oh, I don't know, man, I can't be bothered. But just having that 1 or 2 things that you need, you're like, I might get this in 1 or 2 hunts. Let's go do it.
Pretty much. And
Yeah.
then when a hunt takes 30 minutes or whatever, if you're new to the game, you're still like an hour, 2 hours like investment. But it's like, it's achievable. You can have an hour to 2 hour game, session and still live a life
yeah.
and still work.
Yeah. Yeah, and like
Get
now
stuff
that
done.
there's these investigations, there's an arena I haven't done, and like there's shorter things if that's all the time you have, But in general, it's a pretty big loop to capture or take down a monster. But yeah, what'll be interesting to see is like I'm early on, like 1 weapon, still learning the weapon. Of course, it's complex with Charge Blade, but then I don't really know the monsters super well. I'm starting to, I can see them telegraphing moves and stuff, but there's a lot of little things like I wouldn't know if they're weak to certain things and so on.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, I probably won't get. We'll see. I just really want to play other stuff, but end game status, right? Where you're at the point where now, like, I still haven't finished the campaign, right? I don't think so.
No.
I would know if I finished
Nowhere
it.
near.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, what is the end game like? Versus being in this. So I think I'm in like the early state. Then you get into like that middle. Hey, I just beat the campaign, but there's all this stuff I want to try. And then, like, what does the end game look like? And also, I haven't been playing with other players, so very curious to see how all that stuff feels in Wilds, probably.
Yeah, it's just speaking on like a bit of the news because it goes into what you guys were talking about. IGN first put out their final preview thing today, and they actually showed how Wilds is going to do a much better job at introducing people to different mechanics and different things that you want to do in the game. So they showed that one of the missions, they tell you like to go and get honey. Like it's a part of the story. You're talking to a villager and you're going to go and collect honey. So it seems like they're going to have like organic, natural ways throughout the story of teaching you, hey, here's why you gather honey. Here's why you want honey. Here's these other things you want to get. Here's like, we've even seen when there's a main hunt that they're doing, there's like optional things that you can do. So one would be use a vine trap in an environmental vine trap. Another one would be like use a flash bug, and it shows you on the map, and it's got like an icon for where those are. So they're really trying to introduce players to gathering, crafting, using environmental stuff just naturally through the gameplay and through the story. And I mean, some of that stuff they straight up don't tell you ever. You just have to figure it out. But the rest of it is all through like menus. But now it seems to actually be doing it through the story.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. I mean, I have, because you started by backseating and teaching me, I've more been open to like, yeah, just tell me. But it, like, especially with any good game, I would just like to see how they deliver that to you. And it's important when I'm thinking about critiquing games and stuff. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they handle that. But I guess I'll already have learned so much by then. So we'll see.
Yep,
There's a lot to learn in Monster Hunter.
Always learning.
A lot
Really.
of. It reminds me of like a Pokemon game. Like on the surface, you can get into it and start playing it, but like if you look underneath the hood, there's like heaps stuff, heaps of complexity going on, stats and what are they called? What are they called? Their critical crit damage. It's called affinity.
Affinity.
Yeah, like affinity of like, hey, what's this? Never told you. Never explained to you what it means.
That's
how you can have negative affinity, a positive affinity, all those kind of things. Like, I guess big number better. Who knows?
Yeah, that's a great example. There's a number of like terms and words like that that will just sort of pop up. I'm like, well, which does this affect exactly? But chat's been just telling me. So learning that way.
Yeah. Monster Hunter fandom are pretty friendly, getting people in.
They are.
How common is it to use multiple weapons? I know in Wilds, of course, you'll always be able to have one for your mount and whatnot, but as you play, like, say, 50, 80, 100 hours, like, do you usually, most players just stick to a weapon, or do they
I think probably most players stick to one. There's definitely a group of people who just, they like a lot of weapons, so they just, like, use the weapon per monster. So if it's better, like, easier to hunt a monster with this weapon, then they use that one. Or if they like using a paralysis weapon against this monster, then they'll, like, pick something that's good for that. So yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah,
switch it up.
I get and then having the armor sets and whatnot to match, so you're godlike against the monsters.
Yeah, it just depends on how much hours you want to. Like, I can imagine you getting really good on one weapon and like doing everything and being like, I don't want to stop playing it. I better learn another weapon, and then that's like a new game plus, really. Like,
and the game is like, it really does play like a different game when you use a different weapon.
Yeah.
It's like completely different.
I will say the game just looks so good. I now
World
see,
looks good.
Yeah, because I'm playing on PC, and so I now see very clearly why people have had a little feedback on, because we've only seen a little bit of Wilds. Yeah, and they're like, it looks different. The tonally, of course, like it's grittier, it seems, I think, and there's a lot more effects. And so
you know what it is?
See how that comes across.
It's the follow period. That's what it is. It's like, there's been a lot of feedback about that specific period, which is the period where it's not the plenty and it's not the inclemency. Because plenty is like beautiful and sunny and colorful on all of the areas. And then the inclemency is like extreme weather, right? So you get lots of cool effects going on. But the other one is just like, it kind of almost looks like there's a kind of fog filter over everything. So there has been a lot of feedback about that. I think it did actually look better on PC as opposed to console. And then also remember the beta build that we were playing was like a year and a half old.
Yeah.
So even with like what IGN was saying about, they're like, it's performing way better. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, that I can see that it looks a lot better. So we'll see where it ends up.
And I also think you have a lot of people that didn't even play the beta, but they're looking at online footage, which is a far cry really from, because like as soon as you compress that stuff, especially when there's a lot of brown and green, by the way, it's disastrous.
Yeah.
So definitely don't judge it based on YouTube videos and on final releases. We'll see
what it's
with
like.
our own eyes.
But it is hard with Worlds, because do you have the texture pack in World? Because World looks bloody good.
Yeah,
World looks really good with the texture pack. So it's almost hard going to like a new game. You kind of expect at least that kind of level of fidelity, brightness, whatever.
Looks a lot better. Like the detail on all of the monsters is like, you can see every individual scale on them.
True.
Yeah.
Like the lighting effects are really crazy, and the physics of like the character's hair and all of that stuff is crazy.
Yeah, people have their own preferences. Like sometimes people like a vivid, sharp, unfiltered look. Like I get that. Like a lot of people turn off motion blur and stuff like that, and I totally understand. But like if it's not a shooter, or if it is a shooter and stuff, cool. But if it's not, I'm more on the like, stop complaining about motion blur and stuff. Like artistically, like,
No, you're off
does,
the podcast.
no, it does. It does create.
You can't, Fran.
No, I'm telling y'all are brainwashed in like this idea of I better turn off my motion blur. It's soft. You're like, it's meaning sometimes it's too high, and depending on your TV and frame rate, sure. But people go nuts. They just shut it off. They don't even try low. They turn off noise, film noise, and I'm like, trust me, you should have a little atmosphere in your game. It's not a bad thing. You don't need to see every jagged edge of everything, you know. But my point is for real that some people do prefer that. They like a sharp look, and I'm actually looking forward to Wilds being more atmospheric with all like the sand particles, and I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, no, it looks and all of the interactions that they can have with the environment now is really cool. Like right now, you know, when he does his lightning strikes on sand, it creates glass, but if he does it on grass, it sets it on fire, and it can hurt you and the monster.
Cool.
Yeah, even though I played the Wilds beta, I don't have like a vivid memory of exactly, you know, how it looked. I mean, I do, but it's not vivid. And so again, it's gonna be interesting to go in that final release and see how do I feel about you know, how it looks.
28
it already
days.
looked. I do remember it looked good though. I didn't have any complaints. I think I recall saying like, I don't know why people were complaining so much. It looks great, but I'm not playing on console, and yeah, maybe there was
console. I went on to PC and I was like, this looks like a different game. Like the colors are different. Like, it looks really different. But all of the IGN gameplay is on a PlayStation 5. So and
really?
it's all of that footage is on PS5. So.
It looks.
It'll
better,
look good.
It looks a lot better than it did. It's looking really good.
Yeah,
it's looking really really good.
Oh man, Raydal is already my favorite so much. He's such a cool monster. Raydal is wicked.
The one
it's
in
the
the
lightning
first beta?
flying one.
Yeah.
Is he in Apex? I always get confused with terminology. Is he in Apex?
Yep.
He's in Apex of that area. Yeah.
Was that it for
So next week?
No.
Next week, the second beta, is that correct?
Yeah, so next week there's the second beta with it's the middle of the podcast, right in the middle. Like right now. It comes out right now. Right now.
So should we start the potty early so we can get straight in on it?
We could start an hour earlier, maybe. We'll
start an hour early or something, or we finish, or we just get an hour podcast, which would be now.
So just now, yeah. Yeah, so that's happening next week, and there's going to be a new monster added that you can hunt. It's a returning monster, and then it goes on break. It's basically you play the beta for a weekend, and then the week is off, and then it comes back again, and there's going to be a mystery monster happening. We don't know what it is.
Oh, so not just the one we already know that's been added, like another one.
And next Tuesday, there's a Capcom showcase, and they're going to be showing more Onimusha stuff. This is like their first Onimusha stream about it. And they're going to have a Monster Hunter Wild showcase with a brand new trailer and a bunch of information. So we might even find out what that second beta monster is, maybe. Very exciting.
Onimusha is
legendary.
Well, people were talking about this when I was playing Ninja Gaiden.
Yes, we could talk about that.
Don't worry, everybody said Gaiden like a long time ago. You're not alone. If that's what you were thinking.
I could not help say Ninja Gaiden.
It's like growing up, I used to say ramen noodles as well. Ramen.
Yeah. Ramen
noodles.
Do you want to talk? Oh, have we finished? Any more Monster Hunter stuff before we move on?
The IGN stuff has been absolutely nutty.
Okay.
We finally I won't say the name of the monster in case people don't want to just be listening to the podcast and go, oh my god, what the heck? But the Black Flame, the octopus, we got to see a full hunt with him, and we know his name. So that was crazy. Because
we only saw the tentacles previously, right?
Like yeah, we'd only seen like a tiny bit of him. Not much at all.
Do you like seeing this stuff? Or would you prefer to see it in game? Are they giving us too much info?
I actually don't mind what they're doing with this. I think I would be very happy with stopping here or even stopping in the last thing.
I reckon.
But I with the official stuff, the way that they're doing it this time around, I actually don't mind. With Rise, they showed us, I think, the entire roster before the game came out.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
wow.
Yeah. So this is like we've seen what, like 12 monsters or something like that.
It's such a big part of the game. I would have been fine with just the beta. With the ones we got in the beta would have been fine to me.
Yeah.
And then get to like see it for the first time, like the octopus for the first time in game yourself, I think would be
He's
that's why you
he's
play
really
it.
cool. He is a monster that they've wanted to do since Monster Hunter Tri when they had underwater gameplay, but they couldn't make it work because they wanted all of his tentacles to move independently of one another. They also wanted him to not have to like turn to look at you to show that he's attacking you. So the idea is that you're never supposed to know where his head is. So the tentacles are always just attacking you from all over the place. Yeah. It was very
Yeah, it
cool.
looked cool.
Oh, we got to see mantles.
looked cool.
This isn't a spoiler because it's in World. Rocksteady mantle is
What?
back.
Rocksteady, okay.
Rocksteady, and then there is a new one. There is a new one that we
What-
saw.
Oh, we're not gonna say the name?
We don't know that. We don't know the name of it. It
Oh,
does like burst
You know
of
what it
healing.
does? Oh, I need that.
Burst of healing. Yeah, I mean it might be pretty nice. Might be pretty good.
The man towels. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So lots of excitement. Next week will be pretty crazy because they're showing a brand new trailer.
IGN.
No, at the Capcom showcase.
Oh, right. Because is IGN finished their stuff now, or are they still doing more
Yeah.
coverage?
They're finished.
They're
all
It's usually
finished
the
now.
last of the month, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Monthly
they're all
magazine
done.
cover.
So then it's just this Capcom showcase.
Yeah, and you know what? I called it too. Because I was like, they're like, when do you think we're gonna get the new trailer? We're definitely gonna get a new trailer because we still don't know where this switch axe armor and weapon comes from. We don't know what monster it comes from, bro. And I was like, I think they're going to end the IGN first stuff. I mean, I was saying it before the IGN first stuff, but they're gonna end this. They're gonna have a trailer right before the second beta. Second beta comes out, and then essentially after that, the second beta part 2 Boogaloo, second part of the beta. The game is out like 2 weeks later. So I think you don't need anything else after that.
Yeah. Cool. You've been covering a lot of Monster Hunter as well on the YouTube channel.
Yep.
Reacting. I've seen a lot of reacts.
Yep. Reacting
Looking
to
good.
like the initial thing and then doing like a breakdown of things that were in there, like the mantles or the Doshaguma lance and stuff like that.
Yeah, nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Oh, and I did do a Capcom stream. Actually, the day that we were backseating Fran, I ended up being a really full day for just out of nowhere. I had a sponsored stream in the morning, and then we did a stream for the 7th anniversary of Monster Hunter World. With the Joe, Joe Myelin, you were there. Joe, the community manager.
Yeah.
So we did a hunt with him and 2 other Monster Hunter community members for a few hours to celebrate the 7-year anniversary.
Yeah, that's right. It just happened to be our backseat stream was also on the 7th anniversary. We planned that.
It was planned.
We'll go with.
Yeah,
It
perfect
seems pretty
planning.
good
It's all
plan, yeah.
planned.
That's why we waited so long, everybody. Surprise! Yeah, it was totally worth it. Actually, like I do
was great.
appreciate everyone being patient, but now like I feel my hype's building, everyone's hype's building. It's been really fun to get in the community at this time.
Yeah.
Um,
Onimusha, you were saying something
Well,
about Onimusha.
Did you want to talk about
Myelin.
it?
Well, Onimusha reminded me of Ninja Gaiden because I don't think I had played it last week.
Heard you loved it.
Ninja Gaiden 2 Black.
Ninja
Which
Gaiden
I've
2
been
Black.
corrected.
Oh,
It's
the Xbox showcase. I'll give a bit of a. The Xbox showcase happened. I was really interested in watching it live because we were probably going to get information about Expedition 33. So we're excited about that. But and I know we talked about this before, but just a little TLDR. But then right at the beginning, they announced Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. And Myelin, I was talking about, I like it. It was so much fun. Wow, old games. Myelin, what did you think about it? Because you decided to try it
Okay.
out.
Listen,
Give us your thoughts.
I loved day one.
Mm.
'Cause I've never really played it before, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Because I didn't know what to expect. Like, this is brutal. I'm like chopping people's legs off and their heads off, and like decapitate. Just like chopping people up, and it was like uber hard. Like, I think I put it on hard straight away and couldn't get past the first pack of ninjas that assaulted me. So I dropped it down to normal. I thought, okay, I might need to learn the game first.
Yeah.
And seemed like normal was a fine difficulty to be on. Enjoyed it quite thoroughly, but day 2, maybe I was in a bad mood. It just kind of grated on me a little bit. I felt like the camera just really started to annoy me. And I felt like I've been spoiled with third-person RPGs, beat-em-ups, hack and slashes, that those little things kind of built up to not having a good time with it. And I felt like I was just kind of repeating the same combos, even though it looked like the initial excitement of all the finishes kind of wore off. And I was just pretty much doing the same combos each time. And then I don't know about bosses. I don't know if maybe I was playing the game wrong, but I felt like I wasn't really going in with any strategy and just button mashing on bosses and getting through.
Yeah. Did you look up? It has the in-game guide, I think, with all those combos.
Oh, yeah.
Did you do any of that?
I was told very many times to do that, and I didn't do that. Yeah.
You did well, and that was, and there's no shame in that. But I was gonna say, yeah, I got coincidentally enough, the night before we did the official Monster Hunter back seat, CJ Gibson, the video guy, who we, used to do Fire Team Chat, and we know from X Bungie and all that. But he was a Ninja Gaiden master, and he actually did the video that you saw in the showcase. He went to Japan. He works for Xbox now as a producer. But anyway, he's legit was like a master back in the day. But the point, he got in my ear and he's like, okay, like jump in the air, and right before you land, you hit the heavy. I don't know if you learned that move, for example. It's like a segue move. And then a 360 of that before you land. And then all of this different stuff. And I was like, I used to play some Ninja Gaiden, but not at that level. And so, meaning if you want to get into it, it is more, I've always talked about those games. I mean, it feels like a little closer to like the fighting game days, right? Of like, there's so many combos and segue moves, and that's why it's got the on-screen combo meter. But I mean, there's no shame in it if you're like, yeah, it just didn't get into it. But I think there is some reward if you ever do. Probably just wait for 4, but get into that nuance of those, segue combos.
It just didn't stick, and I don't know exactly why it didn't stick. And I was kind of saying this to Watt, and I maybe it was because like the hard mode was too hard for me to really invest in the combos, and the normal mode didn't really require me to do this combos. So I was kind of like in limbo land where I really just wanted to do combos for the sake of doing combos rather than like needing it. Do you know what I mean? Like the game on that level, I didn't need to do them. But if I did go to hard, I probably couldn't do them anyway. So, and I also felt like other combo systems and camera angles and, beat 'em ups, hack and slashes have done it better and smoother, and I think that was putting me off too. And yeah, I don't think it's a bad game though. Like I think what I did say was if I played this back in the day, I would have loved this. Like I can see the appeal of it. I can see why it has fandom, but I do feel like I've been a bit spoiled with other games, and if some things feel a bit outdated to me.
Yeah, I mean the camera's old. And is a very fast game, so it's just that'll wear on you alone. Never mind the rest of the stuff where you're like, which way was I facing? Like, oh god, like that alone is challenging enough.
And like I don't know about the bosses. Like I don't know. I don't think I ever really worked out what you're meant to do with bosses. It was just kind of like dodge and then button spam. I don't know if that was right or not, but I was like, should you be trying to parry more? Is it about working out what combo you should use? Like it never kind of sunk in with what I should be doing with Ninja Gaiden bosses. Do you know?
If were you beating them?
Yeah, I was beating them.
But I mean, that's therein lies the issue. If you were sort of button mashing and managed through it, like that's kind of surprising that you had enough health and all. But yeah, I haven't played in a long time. But as I again was relearning with CJ and stuff, there's always other enemies and stuff in the room, right?
Well, do you know the one that really triggered me?
Not always.
That ghost fish.
The ghost fish.
Now that felt outdated. But apparently they changed it. Did you get up to this ghost fish one?
Yeah.
Fran?
No.
Oh, Fran hasn't.
I only played through the first boss.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, I played it in the
just,
past, but I have no recollection of what you're talking
like
about.
every game from the 2000s, the water levels are always the worst, and like not knowing what to do. And to trigger this boss, you had to literally stand on this platform that wasn't marked and have the ghosts fish come to you to trigger like the boss scenario, and then you were isolated to that platform during the encounter.
You tell
Yeah.
me
And
you had to stand
apparently
on a
you
plate?
could run.
You had to stand on
It
a
was basically
plate.
a plate.
Yes.
You throw any balls?
You
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're using the ball magic, the Nimpo, yeah, you can throw a ball at him too.
God, that's where
Yeah.
they got it from.
God damn it, Budgie. Strike again.
Anyway,
I mean,
I
would
thought that I
that-
had a bad time. It just didn't click as much as I probably would like to have clicked,
Mhm.
and that's about it, really.
So with that being said, did you watch Ninja Gaiden footage very much at this point, or of 4, the fall release?
No, well, I'm kind of interested now whether that will click, because isn't that another two developers, right? Isn't it?
They're
someone
working with
else
Platinum Games as well, yeah.
who did what?
But they did the remake, is what you're playing. But that, I mean, that's just porting the old one, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
no, I
apparently
mean,
they had to start again though.
This is legitimate. I mean, this is Team Ninja. You know,
Bayonetta,
it is Team
that's
Ninja.
right.
It's not like
And
They're not
Nier
making this one.
Automata. They do.
Yeah.
They
So,
are
like,
known
if
for
I-
doing really good combat.
Rise
like
of
that's
Ronin?
Platinum
Yeah.
Games.
Right.
Well,
So
that's Team
if I
Ninja.
compare Ninja Gaiden 2 to like Stellar Blade, like I way preferred Stellar Blade combat, from the bosses to the like, ad clear and that kind of stuff. Like that was, felt like a
That's
much
because
better.
Stellar Blade is
Oh, maybe.
amazing.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I might be mixing this up. Was Platinum was doing 4 as the main collaboration. The port team we did know. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, I
forgot
don't think
that, yeah.
Platinum was on the port.
No, this
Yeah,
is
that I
the
misspoke.
So
It's been a
I
long
think
week.
Ninja Gaiden 4 will probably do it for me. I think
Yeah.
that will. I'm hoping that will click a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, it's many years later. Again, we're talking, 15 years later. Really,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
there has
it's
been,
an
you could
old
say,
game.
it's been 10 years, but again, a lot of after Ninja Gaiden 2 was not beloved, I would say, other than some different versions of 2 probably. But I don't know. I watched some of it, and it really keeps to the formula. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot more modernized. So I was just curious. If you were
I
looking
think the
forward to it
camera.
or-
We'll see what the camera is going to be like.
That's
I'm sure
like
it's going to be better.
One's question. Yeah. No,
So
I'm
what's-
super looking forward to it.
This kind of brings me to my next question. Like, what's Onimusha?
Onimusha.
Onimusha.
Oni.
Onimusha. Oni
What
is
should I expect?
demons. Anyway, so it's
Onimusha,
actually kind
Musha.
of like a lot. You'll hear a lot of people say that it's kind of similar to Resident Evil.
Oh,
In like the puzzle kind of I mean, the camera was also like the similar thing, right? The fixed camera. You go into a room and it changes the fixed camera. So it's got that similarity, but it's not so much. It's got a lot less horror and more supernatural stuff. Definitely not like a Souls-like combat wise. I mean, combat. How would you describe the combat, Fran? Because it's not like Ninja Gaiden, but
it is kind of like Resident Evil camera angles.
Well, but that's what it
Well,
was
the
at
original.
the time, you know. So
and it's like finding like a puzzle piece, right, or a map or a key, and you're like doing very similar Resident Evil type puzzles.
and
Right.
That's why people compare it.
Just though, because like that was their development studio, the engine at the time, et cetera, et cetera. Now I think you could compare it in this way of like, this is the developer of Monster Hunter Wilds, it is the developer of Street Fighter, and so in other words, bringing forward games like you see now with Ghost of Tsushima, Assassin's Creed Shadows probably, and even Ninja Gaiden 4 to a point. Like I would still expect it to be something in there still, but maybe with some of these, I don't know. We don't know much about it, right? That's the problem. We don't know how they're reinventing it, right?
Yeah, we don't know what it's
They
going to
could-
be like. It's going to obviously, they're not going to be doing fixed camera angles because we saw a tiny bit of gameplay. I think I wouldn't expect them to go full like Souls-like kind of thing. It's probably just going to be more akin to maybe something you see like Stellar Blade, right? Where it's an action game, but there's parrying and dodging and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I expect to be a ton of action, and yeah, honestly, I would expect it to be their take on Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, I don't think that's how they look at it. It's just games. You're literally it's actually a great reference to talk about. You're like, it had a fixed camera angle. That's wild for a game like this, and it used some Resident Evil puzzle pieces, like the pace of the game and the camera of the time. But like that was just like what we were playing and how they handled it. But meaning games have evolved so much that I think it'll look a lot more like Souls, Souls, Ghost of Tsushima. Even as you've seen Resident Evil get a bit more actiony with 8 and 7, and so I'm super looking forward to it. Simply
Very
because
excited.
just think of how good Capcom is doing these days.
They are
It's like
pumping off.
they don't miss, man. So I think
When was the last release of a
Onimusha?
Onimusha game?
What year was it? I'll look it up. Onimusha.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's been I feel like this has
2001.
Wait,
Whoa!
has it been that long? They didn't even do like anything after that. Wow.
Well, they
I
had
didn't-
like, they had some little there was like the thing in 2002, Samurai's Destiny, I think it was called.
Hmm.
And like Demon
Destiny?
Siege was 2004. But yeah, the latest thing is 2004 of like any Onimusha release. So
Didn't they have a dinosaur action game? That kind of
Dino
sounds
Crisis?
familiar.
that's a
I
different.
don't know.
Another way this could turn out too is like I hate to keep comparing it. Like they did Onimusha so long ago. There's been tons of samurai and ninja type games, but I was thinking of Sekiro as I was kind of looking in the footage, and like their take on that wouldn't surprise me either. And like I mean, even Sekiro now is what was that, 2018 or 20? It's around there, but think of how much again things have evolved, and look at like what Elden Ring is, and so anyway, I'm hyped for that one for sure.
That's
It's, like,
right. It was
coming-
2006 because it coming out in 2026 was like it's going to be its 20-year anniversary of like the last thing that launched.
Mm.
Yeah, so hey, we get to know more about it on Tuesday.
Oh,
Tuesday.
Exoprimal.
Oh, so I missed that. Wait, so what are they
That's
saying?
saying
about Onimusha on Tuesday?
Exoprimal. I
We
kinda
can't
enjoyed
see
that.
your chat, so
Oh, sorry.
we
Yeah,
can't,
what about
didn't get
we
that
can't
Exoprimal?
far.
see
I
your
mean-
chant. So
what about
if you want to talk to us, you got to be in the DCP chant.
Wait, why'd you bring
Did they
up
make
Exoprimal?
Exoprimal?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
Exoprimal
To
is a great
me,
game.
it
Like
was
legit,
solid.
it's
Yeah,
a-
don't be
Exoprimal.
when your nose at Exoprimal, Fran.
Exoprimal is legit
Not
a
poo-pooing
really
it.
good game. They made it to just be like a fun co-op game that you play. They weren't trying to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
reinvent the wheel or make a
Yeah.
20 million unit selling franchise.
No, I thought it was fun, and hats off. I didn't
very
know
fun.
if you were comparing it to like maybe how Onimusha would go, but I wouldn't think it would be anything like that. Is all I'm saying.
We got a little. We have a
But-
tiny taste of what Onimusha combat is gonna look like. Just depends how they go. I mean, even in the original Onimusha, you had like parrying, right? So let's see where
Yeah,
they
I
take
think
it.
it'll be a banger game.
I think it's going to
Capcom's
be
just so good.
incredible. And we're going to know more on
It's-
Tuesday.
yeah.
I don't know how much they're showing on Tuesday, but Onimusha is confirmed to be at the Capcom showcase. So
Oh, okay, so I missed. I've been so running around fixing things here, but I didn't realize
Yeah.
that's what was happening Tuesday, which is why you brought it up. So
Yep.
Yeah, and this is how we got onto this. This is how we started this
know.
conversation. We started with the Tuesday, then we went to
It was
Ninja
Monster
Gaiden, then we came
Hunter.
back to Onimusha. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Did they say
I-
anything else that was going to be there that we know yet, or no?
Capcom Fighting Collection, and
Some
then
news for
another
Briar, no doubt.
fighting thing.
A new skin for Briar in Street Fighter or something. Maybe-
No
I
Street
don't know.
Fighter.
No.
No Street Fighter. It is Monster Hunter Wilds has its own separate portion of it, so it's going to be 35 minutes long. But I think Monster Hunter Wilds is like 15 minutes just by itself. Onimusha is there. Capcom Fighting Collection 2 and Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection arcade
Oh, nice.
classics.
I wonder what they'll do with Onimusha though. Yeah, Onimusha Wave the Sword.
Mm-hmm.
it's like it doesn't come out for like a whole year plus. So I wonder what.
Yeah, and they're starting advertising it now, which makes sense because like with Monster Hunter Wilds, all of 2024 was like them advertising Monster Hunter Wilds. And we learned about it in December. And this is like the exact same thing we learned about Onimusha, December, the Game Awards. So I expect that they'll be doing like little info all throughout the year. They'll hit like Gamescom and then a bunch of info will start coming out and then it will start going crazy after that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting my hopes up too much, but that'd be cool if they showed like a decent amount of gameplay and like answer these questions that we just brought up. I feel like it's too early for that, but maybe it's their big, they do have this Q1 or it's their Q4 maybe release normally, which is Monster Hunter Wilds this year. I'm like, maybe that's Onimusha next year, like you're saying.
Yeah.
So
and then they've got Okami like after that.
I just have to say, Ubisoft cannot catch a break, man. Like they got Ghost Yote breathing down their neck, already showing stuff. That's coming out later this year, I think, right? And then now you've got Onimusha, and like, I mean, there's all these. And Ninja Gaiden is different, but there a lot of people eating their lunch right now.
And I'm like, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's out of the way of Wilds. And I'm like, it is in the direct flight path of Wilds now. Before it was like a little bit before Wilds. So like maybe you can play a little bit, maybe come back to it. But now I'm like, it's like 2 weeks after. That's nothing.
Wait, what's 2 weeks after?
Assassin's Creed.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, it's 20 days,
When was Resident Evil 8 originally announced? I'm just curious because we should be on the cusp of Resident Evil 9. I'm looking forward to seeing. I don't think we've seen or heard about that yet, but
we haven't heard anything. Every time Capcom's doing anything, they're like, Resident Evil's going to be there. Like this showcase, people were like, "Oh, Resident Evil? Nope, not yet." Well, you know what it is. It's because they did a lot of focus on Resident Evil. There were new Resident Evils. There were remakes of Resident Evils. It was like Resident Evil every year or like every half year, even. So we've heard that Capcom now that they've got like Monster Hunter is really successful. Resident Evil's in a really good spot. They want to go back and revisit some of their older franchises and kind of bring them forward as well.
Yeah, I think they got that going on as well. But I just expect, was 7 Village? Yeah. VIL was I. Anyway, it's very confusing with that stuff. But I really liked 7. I mean, I like all the Resident Evils, but I don't know. I actually think we should be on track for a Summer Games Fest or Gamescom. We should be on track for a summer Resident Evil 9 or whatever the next big release is. I'm gonna place a bet on it. That's it just came to mind. I hope. Not that we don't have enough to play.
Oh, I don't know if you. So I'm actually a little sad that Briar isn't here to talk about this. I procured a 5080.
Oh, wow.
I procured a 5080. Yep.
Sounds like you went down a dark alley and
I
bought
procured.
off.
Well, I think I was very lucky. I don't know what happened. So the 5080 and the 5090 from Nvidia came out today at 6 a.m. my time on Best Buy and the Nvidia website. Except the Nvidia website was crashing for hours and hours and hours, and they didn't update it until hours and hours and hours later. So I ignored the Nvidia website and I got it from Best Buy. Got there, added it to the cart, and it put me in a line. I was in a queue. And then it said sold out. And then I got back in the line, sold out. Back in the line, sold out. Back in the line, sold out. And then the website was sold out, sold out. I did this for like an hour, 20 minutes of just like keep trying to see if they are rolling out stock. Eventually, I was like, just about to go back to bed because staring at the bright ass Best Buy website had destroyed my brain. I had lost my mind. I was like, I'm about to go to bed. So I refreshed, added it to cart, and it went to a checkout page. And I was like, oh. And then it logged me out. Logged me out of my account. But then I logged back in and it was right on that like continue to payment page again. I was like, oh, wow. That's never happened before. And then I tried to pay with my credit card, and my credit card was like, fraud. No, you're not allowed to. So I was like, God damn it. So then I did our like joint credit card, which went through, thank God. It still thought it was fraud, but it went through and then was like, is this really you?
Yeah, so you could say yes.
Yes, instead of being like, we don't think this is you. You're not allowed.
That always that happens to me on iPhone releases and stuff.
It happens with everything for me. I can't use my goddamn
anything
car. It's
that
really annoying.
is in a line like that.
Yeah.
Like the one time I need you to not worry about it.
Just don't worry about it. But I managed to get one at Best Buy, and this launch was terrible. Like hardly anyone has been able to get a Founders Edition. And this is going in the Stream PC. If you've been following Stream PC Gate, the reason for that is my Stream PC had a 2060. I was not able to stream on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. Went to a 2080 Ti. I could do it, but I couldn't record locally at the same time. Went to a 3090. I can do all of that, but sometimes encoding lag happens, like not very often, like a teeny weeny bit, maybe like twice a stream or something. And I have to drop the quality settings to medium.
Oh, bummer.
So I was like, I really wanted to get a 40 series so I can do AV1 encoding, and it would just be better at it in general. But then Nvidia was like, oh, we're going to talk about the 50 series like next week. So I was like, I'm just going to wait.
Oh, yeah.
Was going to go with a 5070 Ti because that does everything I need it to do. But there are no 5070 Founders Editions. So by the time like MSI and all those guys add their fans and their floozy doozies onto it, it's going to be like the same price because there's only like a $200 difference between the 5080 and the 5070. So I was like,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So if I can pay like around the same price for a better thing, then I might as well try and get the Founders. And it worked out. We got it. I get to pick it up next week.
Yeah, but how many things you need to upgrade in your PC to make it work, or are you ready to roll?
So I got a new PC. I got a new PC case to make sure that it fits in there because my other one was really tiny because it had a 2060 in it, which is like freaking this big. And then I upgraded the power supply. But that should be it. Everything else is like it's pretty set to go because like the CPU is doing nothing. Yeah. The CPU is like at 4% anytime I do anything. So it's all GPU. And like I guess it's possible that like things could bottleneck what the GPU can do, but I haven't experienced that so far. Yeah. So I think we're gonna be A-okay.
You don't edit on that.
I don't edit on it. No, I use my.
It's just for streaming.
It's just for streaming.
It's exciting. So you're not doing AV1 on YouTube at all yet, right?
No, I can't.
But this will allow you.
This will allow me to.
That's super exciting.
It's very exciting.
Quality bump.
Thanks, Fran.
So nice.
It's so exciting.
I don't know what this means. I'm
learning about it, but like I'll bring it up. I'm like, no, it's really exciting.
Explain to me like I'm 5. What does this bump mean?
In not specific, accurate terms, imagine the same bit rate on your Twitch stream, but it looks twice as good now.
Yeah,
it allows you to do 1440 and all, but same bit rate.
AV1 uses your encoding. It uses your bit rate better, right? So if you're doing like 8,000 bit rate, maybe it looks like 16,000 bit rate, just as like a crude example. So you can have a lower internet speed, you can have a lower like everything, and it will look better. So, yeah, so if you have really good internet, and a really good GPU, you get to push that like even further, right? Because I can pump it to like 45,000 bit rate, and AV1 is going to use that really, really well. It uses the bit rate better. It does more with the bit rate. And for those who know nothing about bit rate, the time you will really notice it is if you're watching someone play a very high action game and their camera goes a bit fuzzy.
In a forest.
Yeah.
In a forest.
It goes you go a little fuzzy, like you lose the details. The higher that bit rate is, the smoother and crispier it's going to remain. You're going to lose less of those details.
Yeah. And that's the problem it's really trying to solve is as you move right to 1440 and 4K, and you see this on Netflix and stuff, it's like you need more bit rate to handle that quality and at higher frame rates for games. And so it's just way too demanding to keep the current codec looking anywhere near as good. So yeah, it's they're always evolving. The compression is basically what it is.
So this will help with my Australian internet.
Yeah.
No, I mean only if you're going to reduce. It could if you reduce your bit rate. Yeah. Like what's your bit rate that you stream it today?
I think it's 8,000.
Yeah. 8,000. So Twitch doesn't support it yet though. It's not the card that's like they need to support that encode, Myelin.
The YouTube streams.
YouTube's does, yeah. And that'll help the archive and VOD and everything. But the point is you could technically do 1080p at, say, 5500 and it'll look probably better still. That's how good and
Pretty crazy,
efficient
yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
It's
so
really
could you
good.
guys write down exactly what I need to say to my wife to purchase one of these?
This will make me more money because I look prettier, and they give me money because they can
I
see
don't
how
know if that's gonna
beautiful
fucking
I
work.
am.
Are you
I
streaming
don't-
on Are you streaming on YouTube?
Yeah.
He's
Well,
doing
you
better.
don't
I mean,
listen to
if
the
you-
first half of the podcast, Fran.
You were talking
That's what they-
about doing
The
Destiny
YouTube-
videos on YouTube.
Yeah, no,
I didn't
no,
know
no,
you
the
were
You-
talking to. Oh.
Yeah, that comment was from a YouTuber live
Oh,
stream.
but I thought he came to your Twitch. I mean, I definitely miss her. That's my
Yeah.
fault. But anyway, for real though, what you do tell your wife, you're like, I'm not streaming in HD anymore. 1080p is like not really HD anymore. So you have to support 1440 and eventually 4K, and this will allow you to do it while the internet's kind of crap as well. And it's the only way that you're going to be able to take that next step and be a professional streamer.
I think you could deliver that news for me, to be honest.
It's totally, it really is true.
You're
Like,
an easy face to look at, Fran. You got a soft voice. I think you could deliver this news for me.
How would I send
Fran,
you a video
have
to
you
your
have you
phone?
thought about doing cameos for people's
Oh,
wives to
God.
buy?
I should do that. Yeah, just
How much for a
delivering
cameo?
tech news. Yeah, let me deliver you like a cameo, Myelin. But like, whether it's after dinner, or before bed, you're like, hey, I want to show you this video from Fran real fast. It's all
I'll
HD
tell her you're a famous actor because
So-
I reckon you can pull it off.
What? I love this.
He
go there.
created video on the internet. Not a lie, not entirely a lie. He is the reason
Kinda.
video exists on the internet.
That's not totally true, but made a lot of the first HD videos on the internet. But yeah,
See?
I'm washed now though. I'm behind. I
Pretty
need to
crazy.
get on it.
That's pretty
Well,
crazy.
apparently
But no,
we're all
honestly,
washed up
this
for
is-
Watts.
It's super
I'm
exciting.
sure I am too.
And for everybody listening now, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about with bit rates and
Yeah,
codecs.
sorry about that.
But look forward to the day when Twitch supports this as well. You get a 1440p stream at 60, maybe someday 120 without your internet crapping out on you and buffering because it will be the same, hopefully, But
Yep. It's pretty
I
exciting.
really like how you explain that. That makes a lot of sense to me.
It looked
Is,
better
you know,
for less resources.
Yeah, more bang for your buck,
More
essentially.
bang for you. You need to put the buck down to get the bang, but then it is more bang for the buck. Yeah.
Bing, bang, boom. Bong.
Yep,
Something.
bong.
It's in there. So it's the record button. Bong.
I
Bong.
talking
bong.
of bing bang boom. One of my lovely Twitch mods added a custom loot filter for Path of Exile, which had some of my greatest quotes from stream in there. Bing bang bong was in there. And I've had a lot of joy from having custom sound effects in a game because I don't think I've ever had a game.
Yeah,
that
I
drops
never
a loop,
have.
just like yells at you. It's
Bing
quite cool.
bong.
Bing bong bang, and then like sometimes something bad will drop, and it's like this game's dog shit.
That's
very
very
good.
fun. That's real fun.
Yeah, I'm still hitting Path of Exile pretty hard. I
Yeah?
still like it. I like it a lot.
It's a good
I
game.
like the build crafting in it. Like you do have to be into the knowledge and the build crafting rather than the actual playing of the game. And like I kind of like being on the trade websites and looking at what I can purchase to upgrade my gear, and then looking at my stats again, and then going back in and then tinkering with it. And actually, like, I've actually had a bit of a breakthrough in my Path of Exile build, and it's actually got less engaging now that I'm killing everything. It's like, okay, like I liked it more when I was struggling and still tinkering.
What if you make a build that turns the game back into that early campaign experience? That's the video you need to make, Myelin.
Well, I was doing a hardcore warrior run
Is he dead?
where he's dead. He's dead.
Okay.
No, solo self-found. Have I spoken about this before? Is a pretty cool concept because it's such a different game when you can't trade, when you don't have the trade market and you can't buy anything. It puts a lot of emphasis on the loot that you get, which is really nice. So yeah, I did a hardcore solo self-found warrior, and it was doing pretty good until I was not doing pretty good and got tapped by a
Yeah,
boss.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Cam. No, Cal wants to know if a banana made it into your loot filter.
A banana's in there too.
Oh,
yeah.
good, perfect. You gotta
Yeah.
have that in there.
Yeah.
A banana.
Yeah. A
Is this a
banana.
Path of Exile
Well,
thing?
Fran's been getting into this kind of stuff with his blurps on stream.
Oh,
what?
what's the banana thing? I don't have.
Oh,
context.
Myelin had a clip of him saying a banana, and it's in
Banana.
his
I was-
loot filter.
Banana.
When an item drops on the floor, it plays a banana.
Ah. Yeah, no, it's fun. Have you seen these blurps yet, Myelin? Have you used blurps? Surprisingly
No.
awesome. You should. Your community would love
should.
them. It
You
takes
would- yeah,
small
you
amount of
should.
effort, but basically they can clip you saying, say, a banana, and send you the Twitch link clip. And using blurp, it's like they have a bunch of like stuff from shows and all that like people can play. But just for you, you can use like your channel points to like replay that stuff, and it's very easy to add.
Okay.
You literally just paste the URL in, and I've been meaning I don't have a lot of channel point redemptions on Twitch. You can change like my background color.
Can you send me a how to set up guide?
Oh yeah, totally. But literally, if you just go to it's blurp.com. Blurp.
Blurp.com.
There's
How
a
do I spell
bunch of stuff.
blurp?
But
Blurp.
just create your Twitch login, and trust me, it's literally as easy as like. It's relatively easy. There's a few like confusion over where do I click, but try. It's easy. Just go grab any clip of say you saying something, and then you can trim it using their website. It's totally cool, man. I was surprised. Your community. I tell you what, Mom. When you're streaming, we could do that too. I could hop in, but there's already people watching now. I'm sure listening that have been using my blurps. They can explain it to you as well, so it'll be easy.
But how do you automate it? How do you integrate it with your
So when you log into blurp.com, you connect your Twitch account, and then that is going to get access to your channel point setup and all. And if you're looking at it, it has like it says my stream blurps. So you would like add a stream sound. Well, you'd create a blurp and then you'd add it. But anyway, we should probably do this off the podcast. But they're fun. They're fun to use. So
You can use
and
channel points and bits. Yeah, maybe this is how you can
Yeah.
stay employed, Myelin, and not need to go.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually need that. Yeah, second source of income would be great. How can I monetize me screaming banana
No, you
Through
100%
blurps.
could. Like
You
in
can.
theory,
blurps?
yeah. You can like I could use it for channel points on my stream maybe if you let me, but the relevancy here is actually, so this all started while I was playing Prince of Persia, and so what happened was I screamed so much and that game is very hard. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. It's a great platformer and love that game, but man, I was like constantly screaming, and then I forget who suggested it, but they made that scream to start. And of course, you're hearing what they're playing if you want. That's the worst part about it, which they love, of course. So I'm like, I'm just trying to get my stream started, and they're playing me saying stuff over me trying to say hello to them. It'd be like if you did, it'd be like a banana. You'd be 3 seconds in, and people love that. So
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I
Check it
did
out.
used to have a channel point reward that they could mute my microphone and then change my camera to the camera on the dog.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I mean,
Actually,
God-
I think.
It got to a point where I wasn't even there. It was just people redeeming mute microphone, dog cam, dog cam.
I mean, they were really sending you a message.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Oh, that's good stuff.
but then I updated my OBS and literally all my plugins broke, and I was like,
Yeah. No, this is way easier. Like it literally is just an
Online.
It's like a browser overlay that
Yeah,
will just
that's
play it
easy.
on your stream. So it's
Easy
easy. And then
peasy.
it's nice because you can use Twitch clips to make stuff. It's not, you don't have to go custom beyond that. But is there any other really big stuff?
Well, there is, but we can go into Twitter questions that touch on it, so we can
Okay,
do a little
so-
twofer. Yeah.
Before we had the social, it was just on the Destiny 2 stuff. It was driving me nuts. It's called the Tome of Want. And you're going to be able to.
That's right. Tome of Want.
Gives you options to focus on earning specific weapons, armor, or currencies, when you're playing through Heresy. So there is something with crafting those weapons through that, but I thought I was crazy for a while. But Tome of Want.
I will say the weapons look really, really good.
Yeah, they look dope.
The new exotic SMG is very cool and very unique looking.
Yeah. Sounds sick, too.
Yeah, the design on the Heresy stuff looks really, really good. Also, there is a Star Wars collab.
Yeah.
So you can
Eververse.
Eververse, you can look like you're straight out of Star Wars.
And I'm sure there's like a
Oh
couple
yeah, I did see that.
minor things that you can get through Bright Dust and stuff. But yeah, they're absolutely sick collab with Star Wars. I just like, yeah, I mean, it's funny because like I'm fine with them having fun with that. Like it was inspired by Star Wars, right? But I also just in general now I'm like, oh man, microtransaction stuff. Like it's always the best stuff, in other words. But things are looking really good in Heresy, and I think as much crap as I give and people give even about Bungie about the Eververse and stuff, they do have a lot of sick looking gear overall. It's just games in general. I don't know how Path of Exile is. I know it's free to play, but everything that's the best, I always bring it up. It's Diablo does this, Halo Infinite does this. You can't like get the coolest, most amazing stuff that the art talent is just doing a sick job on unless you buy it. And
Yeah,
I hate that.
I'm assuming that's pretty similar to PoE, but there's so much content in PoE that's for free. I think people are generally
Yeah.
pretty happy to accept it. And also, it's like man, it's so hard to see anything. My boomer eyes really struggle anyway. Like you're so far away from your character, and there's so much effects on screen. It's not even like I see my character anyway. So it's kind of like you kind of do it. I think when games get to a point where people do microtransactions to support the developer, the game's doing something right. You know, I think when you get into that mindset where you're like, I actually want to give you money because I'm having such a good time, you're in a good space. And that often just more comes down to like gameplay rewards. And for Path of Exile, I don't think there's any issue with the game. Well, there probably is plenty of issues, but you know, in general, people, if you're feeling rewarded and feeling like you're getting stuff from your games, then you don't really care, right?
Yeah, again, Destiny is less of an issue, but to compare it directly to Path of Exile with Diablo, at least, like you get one seasonal set of armor, so you have to play like a ton for that battle pass, and you have to buy that for like $10. But it is like a vanity pass, but you still have to buy it. And then you go to the store, and you literally get the holy crap. That looks like straight out of Game of Thrones or Aliens, and you're like, it looks incredible. The battle pass looks almost as good, but not nearly as good. And then my point is, in the game though, if you don't buy any of that stuff in the game, I'm like, I just want to grind the latest dungeon and of the game I bought, that is, and earn like a sick looking reward, but like it's far and few between is my issue. It always goes, the coolest stuff is locked behind that, and I have a major issue with that. That's the slippery slope, because they lock the coolest stuff behind it. But anyway, hopefully Path of Exile is a little better at that. But
I don't think it is. I think their main monetization is cosmetics, but I feel like Destiny
it's 100% free.
Destiny,
yeah, it is different.
true.
Yeah.
And Destiny, the fashion game is so huge. I think it's just the fashion game, I think, is a lot higher in Destiny than Path of Exile. Just because first person, you can see people's gear really easily, really clearly, high level of collaborative activities, social hubs, all that kind of stuff. Which really puts pressure on to be looking cool.
Yeah, and again, I think they have plenty of stuff. It's just in mini games, it's that, as I think I'm beating a dead horse here, but it's like the battle pass looks good, but it doesn't look anywhere near as good as the Star Wars stuff, just as the example. And so you get left with this slippery slope of like, dude, if you keep buying that stuff, you're not gonna get like absolutely dope stuff put in the base version of the game or the base battle pass or whatever. It's always an extra $25, you know. But anyway.
Before we go to Twitter questions, I do want to give a shout to a game that came out this week called Eternal Strands.
Yeah, what is this about?
So this is a brand new game from a brand new studio. They've got a lot of actually like OG BioWare devs in there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Then there was some big BioWare news this week. So BioWare did layoffs, TLDR.
Yeah.
Oh, and Dragon Age is dead.
Wait, Dragon Age is dead? I missed that part.
They're probably never going to make another Dragon Age ever again. Yeah. most likely.
Oh, really? It was like underperformed?
Underperformed. Yeah, that's actually another blue sky question, I think. So we got some good questions to hit on
Okay.
some news. So, but Eternal Strands, it came out January 28th. It's a single player action adventure game, and the inspirations are like Monster Hunter, Shadow of the Colossus, kind of Breath of the Wild type stuff, or more Zelda because it's not open world, really, not true open world. The Monster Hunter stuff comes from like you go and fight a thing, and then you craft stuff out of that stuff, and you're also preparing to fight against them because your armor can have like heat resistance, it can have cold resistance. So you're really like speccing for places you're exploring and monsters that you're fighting. There's also magic, which is fire magic, ice magic, gravity magic. So and there's 3
Dragon
weapons
magic?
that you can use. You get to fight a dragon. You can fight a dragon. But yeah, it's a really cool game. Like they've done some really
nice.
interesting stuff with this game. Like when you're making armor, the materials that you use change the stats that are on it and changes the look of it. So you have a bunch of different armor that has like base stats, and then you can change what those stats are with the materials that you use. So that's
It
really
looks
cool. It's a really cool game, and it's $40, so it's not a full price game. It's on Game Pass, and there is a demo that you can play for free that progress carries over. So they're really making it super easy to just try the game out and see what you think about it. But I know Skill Up, they had put out a review and said that they recommended it. It's getting some very good reviews. I think it's at like an 8.5-ish Metacritic last time I checked.
Mostly positive on Steam
Yeah.
as well.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's from Yellow Brick Games, I guess.
It is, and they are going to have post-launch content added with the creative unit from Squaresoft. They're going to be helping them with their post-launch content, and it's going to be free.
Nice.
Free, like new monsters, new bosses added. Free stuff with new armor.
You
new
know what?
monsters.
It kind of reminds me of Dauntless, but they obviously got it right.
It's funny that the visual style made me
visuals.
think of that too, Myelin. Immediately.
Especially with
Very
like kind of a
colorful.
Monster Hunter-y spin with this visual style, definitely gave me the Dauntless feeling. But obviously they got it right though.
And this is also a single-player like action adventure game. So
Yeah, it looks nice.
Dude, this kind of looks good. Why you not been playing this one?
it's a good game. I
Just been a little
played it.
busy.
I don't know
Oh, did you play it?
Teaching.
I have played it. I've got like 6 hours, 7 hours, something like that.
Played it on stream?
6 or 7 hours. Yeah, I did. It's really good.
I
Indie
feel
studio,
like you're
indie
saying-
published. Indie studio
I
and
feel like
indie
you didn't
published.
like it.
Brand new game.
I feel you. Did you? But will you not keep playing it? So why didn't it hook you in to keep going?
So I do want to keep playing it. Honestly, a big reason is all the Monster Hunter news makes me just want to go play Monster Hunter.
Right.
The
It's not out yet.
the other thing is that the combat is probably, it's not bad, but it's not super strong. You know, because if you think of
Okay.
Shadow of the Colossus, right, the whole thing is climbing monsters and like you're breaking
Yeah.
parts of them, and that's that's kind of like the combat. So you're not having, you know, like a Monster Hunter or any action game experience of kind of 1v1ing this boss. So it's much more focused on like, what does this boss do? Okay, well, I need to break his armor to get to like the softer parts to actually do damage, and he does gravity magic, or he's throwing fireballs at me and I can grab him and throw him back at him. It's not just like straight up 1v1 combat. So it's not my favorite combat, but God, they've done so well with everything else. Like exploration, their level design is genuinely really good. It's really, really good. Oh, and there's a weather system. There's a day-night cycle.
Oh, it's on Games Pass as well?
It is on Game Pass. Yep. Give it a try, Myelin. You might like it. Might as well. Might as well.
What I got to lose? Nothing.
Literally nothing. Give it a try.
What else you gonna do? Die in Path of Exile 2? Come on.
Well, actually, no, I do
Take a
want to
break.
grind some currency in Path of Exile 2 today. But
All right. There it is.
Dune MMO, IGN, similar to the Monster Hunter final preview. They had a final preview of the Dune MMO.
They did.
And I'm
I haven't looked
only
at it.
like halfway through it, and
What do you
man,
think?
I want it to be good, but goddamn, I still have some concerns too. It's like I want a Dune. Yeah, if you said you want a Dune, you want an MMO set in the Dune universe, yes, please, thank you. And then you kind of look at it, you're like, it kind of looks like it needs a bit more time in the oven. So I don't know, that's all I've got so far.
It would look within the first 5 seconds, the player gets pushed through the earth by this monster.
Like in a buggy way, you mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it clipped through the ground.
This looks like an indie survival game. Is
Or
like
like-
what the
does.
visuals look like.
Dune
It does look like a
MMO.
non-full price indie survival game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Doesn't mean that like the gameplay can't be good.
Yeah, the gameplay can still be really good. But if it's gonna look like this, it needs to run really
It looks
well.
really
That's the
bad.
thing.
I'm not gonna lie to you. It looks really bad. Like it's go watch the video. We might watch this tomorrow. This is funny. There's so
I'm
much
gonna watch the rest of
clipping
it
and
after this, 'cause I've got,
animation
like-
stuff. It's oh lordy. Okay. Combat looks awful. Okay, well, good.
The combat does look bad.
So not showing well.
Not
in its
showing
first big
great.
preview, it looks like.
Yeah, that's
But yeah, maybe one of those to we'll see. Sorry, was this a hands-on preview from them? Do you know if it was just like
It's
like has anybody
yeah,
played it
Yeah,
yet?
It
it
is
is.
our final
Sa-
hands-on. Yep.
hands on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
The
they have,
person,
like-
I'll tell you, it's Rachel Weber.
I don't know, Rachel. Okay.
Rachel
You don't know
Weber.
Rachel? We don't trust her then. If you
No,
don't know,
I
it
don't
doesn't
know
know
a
the
lot of people there
OG
now.
Fran, we
It's-
don't trust
Rachel
No,
her.
no,
Weber,
no, no, no.
edited by Michael Hune.
I was just trying to read. Usually, right at the end of the article, which I'm reading, you have like a summary from. In this case, it was Rachel. Was it Rachel? Was that who it was?
Yeah,
It says. I think it's. They seem to be saying they're excited.
okay.
Well, no, the review had a good time, but it was one of those scenarios where you hear what they're saying and then you see what's on the screen. And you're like,
You're like, I hear what you're saying. However,
I might have to play it. I might
This
have
is
to
why
play it first.
Bring it up not to doubt your impression of how it looks, but like if you're saying, man, it looks janky and blah blah blah. But I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
well, for people who play MMOs,
Look-
like what do they think? But I don't know. It sounds like they are looking forward to it at least.
I've played heaps of janky stuff. I mean, I'd started
yeah.
a whole new channel with Once Human.
Yeah.
Watson and I played Once Human, and we had a
We played
really
a
good
lot.
time with it. That was janky as hell. It was also free to play, right?
Yeah.
It was also free to play. It was a survival crafting MMO, big areas, that kind of stuff. PvP was complete trash. Never did it. PvE was good. It had good, but at the
Had
end of
good
the day, it did get tiresome with like combat not being really fine tuned. And I
Yeah.
always find with these survival crafting games, it's like it can be so close. When you start getting like an MMO survival crafting that's got to load in every person's goddamn base on the map with like all the crap that they've got in every single thing, it's really hard to achieve smooth, cool combat in these kind of games. And I think that will either make it or break it.
the combat
If I can
looks
have-
truly terrible.
Yeah, that's a problem.
But again, like it doesn't mean that the game can't be fun. Like maybe you're gathering and you're building and you're exploring and you're doing all that, and the world is really interesting, and that's where you've had a lot of fun with it. But it doesn't look good. That's all.
Yeah, I definitely want to. I still want to give it a try because I am
Yeah, give it a
interested in
try.
it. I am slowly moving away from like survival crafting games, but MMO stuff does appeal to me. Like anything with like I can have a group of people and get people from chat into the game, and we can like make a communal base. Like that stuff all interests me. There's like communal, like cooperative end game stuff, or we can go and attack other bases. That's all like really interesting to me. Like I find that fun to stream, fun to play. So if it's got at least some of that in it, it could hold my interest for a bit. We'll see.
Shall we do Twitter questions / a little bit of Blue Square
Yeah.
questions to mix?
Yeah, I got to go make dinner soon. Actually,
This is from Alex Campbell, who says, question. With Microsoft dropping exclusivity from most of its forthcoming games and some older ones, do you think Sony will follow and rid the gaming world of most console exclusives? So the news
No.
on this is that they're bringing it's a driving game, right? That's
Forza Horizon 5.
Forza Horizon 5 is coming to PlayStation. And we've seen this with Xbox, like we've been seeing it for a little while now, where it appears that they just want you to be able to play their games anywhere, on anything, and not do the console exclusivity anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they bought Activision, Blizzard, and like Phil has been out there again talking about this. But yeah, I mean, the console wars are eroding a bit because like Switch 2 most likely won't really have any competition. I mean, definitely you could say Steam Deck and stuff, but like the price range and it's just like no competition. And then, you know, PlayStation 5 has shown to pretty much stomp sales of Xbox. And so they still want that ecosystem, though. I don't think we're going to see, you know, I think we'll see an Xbox handheld and console option with the ecosystem and everything that they do. But I got to tell you that, yeah, Phil Spencer, I'm glad you brought this up, because I wanted to get it in this week's show. I always am complaining about cross save and cross progression, right? And Phil Spencer had brought that up as a part of this vision, right? It was like the idea that, you know, yeah, he didn't announce this, but it's like, imagine you're playing Xbox games on Steam Deck, and it doesn't matter if you're on your Xbox or that, but you can log in and get your save. And I was like, yes, this needs to be more of a thing, right? Imagine, like I brought it up about Prince of Persia even. I was like, wait, I think that's like one of the first best Switch 2 games that is out. Jokingly, right? But if you haven't played Prince of Persia, like the save, presumably, if you already have it, will port over. And then, you know, for those who didn't play it, even more reason to pick it up, knowing that you can play it anywhere, like say a new Xbox handheld in the future. But anyway, cross save, cross progression is going to be huge. But back to Sony. Sony's
never letting go.
Yeah, the closest they're getting is releasing on PC, you know, within a year or two. And I think we'll see that continue. Is they believe in the exclusive strategy, and it's the sales, you know, it's selling. PS5 is still selling well. They don't really have anything to sell anyway right now, right? I mean, we got Ghost Yote. I mean, tongue in cheek, we know Death Stranding 2's out there and Intergalactic, but like really, it's not like the strongest announced lineup from them yet. But yeah, Sony,
We'll see.
unlikely.
Yeah, PlayStation's got a bit of a death grip on consoles and exclusives, so they're not going to let that slide. They're in the winning spot, so they're not going to be like, oh, let's not do exclusives because we're winning.
Yeah.
You know. And obviously Microsoft's going a different way, right? They just kind of want it all available.
They're buying all the game studios, so they publish everything. They publish and make everything and put it out everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think their main metric of success has been so much about Game Pass install base, you know, of new users and all that stuff. And so like Indiana Jones, we know, was already announced for PlayStation as part of its rollout. You know, they haven't pinned down stuff like Starfield, I don't think, and some other stuff, but like it's, you know, it's going to happen. There's still some delay between that stuff like Sony does, but it's been way more gracious, right? I think Indiana Jones is this spring on PlayStation, so that will only be within 6 months, where, yeah, again, I think Sony's like, what you'll see, let's just take Ghost of Yote. Very likely that it might take 2 years for that to come to PC. Yeah, I think they rolled out, I think, the PC version of that a little more quickly because they were just testing the waters, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a few years still on that.
The next question is from Doomhammer, who says, in the wake of news of games not meeting publisher expectations, stories, at what point do you believe some of the onus actually falls on us as consumers, and that too many gamers these days are calling any game that isn't some masterpiece of the genre bad and therefore not worth their time? This is mostly about Dragon Age. Dragon Age sold like, what was it, 1.5 million, I think was the number.
Really?
I will check that. But
I can look.
Okay, yeah, they were set to, and that's where all like the BioWare news came from, with that they're like moving people into different parts of EA, they're laying people off because Dragon Age: The Veil God did not meet expectations.
They say engaged 1.5 million players during the quarter. So of course that was released. So that's not including this quarter, I don't think. At a glance here, right? But yeah, doesn't sound like it was super strong.
And we're seeing that with a lot of things where it's like, we sold 2 million, it didn't meet expectations.
You know what's funny though? This was one of those, I think we saw the Steam concurrency narrative though, where I was like, oh, a lot of people were playing Dragon Age, you know? But you know, it's like 80,000 at a time, right? That's where I always bring up, I'm like, just because you see a high Steam number, that's not unique players. I mean, it's very hard to translate that, you know, if you see 20,000 people playing Destiny, how many unique players in a month touched it, so to speak. So, but
Can you repeat the question? Because I think there's like a couple parts here.
I think the first part was like, how much is it on? Well, yeah,
yeah, that is the question. Yeah, it's like, because we're seeing it time and time and time again. They're like, do you think that some of the onus is actually falling on us as consumers at some point, where we're just like, all games are bad, or a viewer says it's bad, you're like, it's bad, I'm not playing it.
I would first argue that there's an assumption that it may. Let's just assume that it didn't sell well. I mean, 1.5 million engaged players, whatever that means, cross passes and other stuff. I don't know, but let's just assume that it didn't meet expectations. You assume though that the reason was that it was talked about being bad, but that may not be true, right? I talk about the time economy and competition, and you know, there's platform gating issues sometimes. Like, I don't know where this released. This was probably a little wider.
This also,
but I don't
like
think it's just that, is my
Veilguard
point.
went against what the established player base really liked about Dragon Age. Like, they changed the look of the game, the tone of the game. Like, they changed a lot, and I think it's really difficult when you have an established player base and you're bringing out a game that is, you know, a part of that story that they've already been playing, and then you go and change it quite a lot. I think that Dragon Age is an example of maybe you don't want to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I played only some of it. I know True Vanguard liked it in general, and like that was my impression though. Like, it's not bad.
It's not bad. It's fine.
They did a good job, but that, to your point, Watts, it's like they didn't nail what Dragon Age players wanted.
Yeah.
I know one of the things was like wanting to play multiple characters, controlling them, and some of the other stuff, and even just like the visual look. I was like, well,
the visuals
you got it
different.
You got it done, but it wasn't like stand out, and I don't know. I think for the genre as well, it's challenging.
Yeah.
But expectations are so high, you know.
Expectations are expectations from players and also publishers are really high. Like, because games are so expensive, they take so long to make. So you're putting all of this into this game, and it's like, well, this has to sell like 10 million or it's a failure. When you see games like even like Persona will sell like 2 million, then they're like, hell yeah, we sold 2 million copies. Let's go, baby. It's you can't just put all your eggs in one game. One game.
Yeah,
eggs into one
I think player expectations has definitely changed, and not for the better for some things. I think live service has definitely warped expectations from having a good, paying $60 for a good, you know, single player story. I think we're just starting to come back now when people are almost getting sick of live service and want to have those good single player stories and are willing to pay for it, you know, and be happy with that. But I definitely think we went through a period where it's like, if this doesn't consume my life and I feel like logging on and playing every day, it's not a good game, which is probably not the right way to, you know, consider games. But I do think we're actually coming back around to like, I don't want to have this game consume my life. I want to jump online, have a good experience, and feel like I got my money's worth in that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a little bit of that. And then I also think what Watt said was, I think also with the live service model, like publishers' expectations is to have this like ongoing revenue stream of really dedicated players with every game they release, which I don't think is like,
it's not possible
either.
I think also I do think that publishers or whoever it is give up on games too quickly. Like I bring up an example of Wild Hearts, right? Wild Hearts was really good. Like, everyone who has played it is like, Wild Hearts is a really good game. It's really fun. But because it launched with performance issues, it struggled to sell because people would play it and be like, "I literally can't run this game. I have to refund it." So instead of being like, this game that has maybe taken a long time for us to create and a lot of money and it didn't work out, let's just pull the plug and make a whole new cycle of making a new game and investing a bunch of money into it. I think it would be nice if they stuck with things a little bit more, because it really has felt like plugs are being pulled really quickly. Just being like, oh, didn't sell like 20 million.
It does feel like that.
Get rid of it. It's over. Leave it alone.
But is this kind of like what Bungie did? This huge wave of like just over investing in so many, like too many projects on the go, and then everyone's starting to cut back. As this kind of like post-COVID still?
PlayStation is what pulled the plug on like 10 out of their live service games. They've canceled
10.
They've canceled 10 out of 12. Yeah. Something like that.
They realized that not everyone can play fucking 6 live service games.
Yeah. But that's actually a good reminder too, is over the last few years, we've had a bloodletting of just like they scaled up. It wasn't even just live service, right? It was like everything.
Everything has gone up.
Embracer conversations every week.
Oh my God,
like,
it's crazy.
Everything was, the new Lord of the Rings game, the new Tomb Raider, and some of that is still happening, but everything was getting funded, and then there's been a lot of pullback, and yeah, like it's relevant because BioWare announced that they made it sound like, for the most part, if not entirely, they were able to find positions at EA to downsize their studio to try to like make it sound like better. It's like, we are becoming more efficient. It's like, well, you got rid of a bunch of BioWare folks, but you managed to find, I think, them all jobs.
No.
You know, I don't know if
it's literally not true.
It was very vague.
It's literally not true. People were on Twitter being like, I literally don't have a job.
I got laid off.
Like, I need a job. I'm trying to find a job because they didn't even come out and say, you know, we're so sorry to have to let go of people. They were just like, yeah, we're finding them jobs, and you know, we're being more efficient and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and like
they're like,
I don't have a job, brother.
Classic CEO nonsense. I mean,
seriously.
not having read this about the somewhat missed expectations of Veilguard, like it's clearly it's related. Not banger out the door. It's not doing as well. We need to downsize the studio as we prepare for Mass Effect 5. That's what I read out of this. I know they got some other stuff, I think, going on. Wait, Mass Effect 5? Yeah. And like that was the message too that's relevant here, is like they're like, we're working on Mass Effect, but we can be a smaller team to accomplish that. Again, like trying to put frosting on this mess. So yeah, I mean, I'm still very excited for Mass Effect 5, and I do think there's that granular, or the nugget of info in there that maybe we're digging around at, is like games are getting big and like having them have to look the best and blah blah blah. Like, yes, that can be important. At the same time, there's a lot of amazing games from smaller studios, and maybe it is getting out of hand. You know, I mean, Bungie's going through this right now, and some of that's related to live service stuff, but you know, there's plenty of amazing games that are made by small teams, like, right? So, you know, I think everybody's looking at that, is what I'm getting at. I don't like that people got laid off, obviously, but
the idea of gamers like expecting too much too, like I do think there is truth to that. I don't think it is tied into a lot of things going on in everyone's life. Like if you look at cost of living, or let's not get too political, but like, you know, people don't have a lot of extra cash, right? And when you do spend money, I think, just if you don't have much money and you spend your hard-earned money, you don't want just a good experience. You want the best goddamn experience in that genre that you've ever had. And especially then when you put that in like an ecosystem that's like, there's free-to-play games as well that can give very good experiences. And like your expectation keeps going up. It's like, I've got free-to-play games I can play that I have a good time, my friends are on, I don't have to spend any money in. Or I can spend my month's savings on this game. And then now like I really want to make sure I get 60, 70, 100 hours out of this. And not only I get 100 hours of it, but like I enjoy every minute of it. And I definitely put a higher expectation on games more recently, but from, I guess, like a reviewer's point of view, like I want every game to push the boundary, and that's probably not realistic either. Like I want every game to like put a new spin on the genre, put their own stamp on it, reinvent the wheel, when sometimes it's probably okay for a game to just be a good game in the
Be a
genre
good
for
game,
things
yeah.
you've seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and I mean,
tricky, man. Yeah, because you
but
also have like everything's publicly traded, and you got to make money for
yeah.
the stockholders, and there's only so many times you can make the number go up. Eventually, it's gonna stagnate or it's gonna go down, and then you don't just go, oh, well, we'll work on something else. It's like a catastrophe, and we've got to lay off everyone and close the studio. And
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the unfortunate business side of it is like if they, they want certain profit margins and like this is just how it works. And I was gonna say, I mean, I think Dragon Age Veilguard probably was deemed to be good, maybe not beloved by all of the old fans necessarily, blah blah blah. But it engaging 1.5 million people, whatever that even means, that's still solid. And they missed the mark maybe in some ways, but I don't think that is a failure. Is all I was gonna say. But yeah, unfortunately, it results on the business side of this, and they're only gonna make the big stuff. I think it's way too complicated. Trust me, if it was easier, nobody would make these mistakes. You would be like, oh, I'm gonna make a great game like Baldur's Gate 3. Everybody loves RPGs. Let's just do that. Like it does not work that way. It's the same way that people have been trying to chase what that was the Destiny formula, and has now put us in this situation. But yeah, I think it's complicated. And me, I actually blame, in tongue in cheek in some ways, but like the time economy and free to play games, like that is something that I've said, if you want to play a lot of games, you should think about that. Because like if there was a game, like I've been using Prince of Persia lately, that you really wanted, if you love platforms, you love that style of Metroidvania, then you really should stop playing if it's Marvel Rivals or whatever, and put it down and go play that, because it may not exist in the future, So that's still not like on you as the consumer. It's just, I'm saying, like, it's the same way when you consume TV shows, and like there's so much to choose from. So
there's a lot of
I
choice.
actually, my belief, this is very subjective, I do believe that is the biggest problem we're facing. It's not just that there's free games and live service games that suck your time. There's so many great games. There's so many great games to look forward to.
Yeah.
And then there's also so many good games. And it's so much to choose from that you don't have the time for it all. And I think the publishers are having a hard time like figuring that out, because some people make like a banger. It doesn't have to be, a 10 out of 10. It's still like really good. And in the past, that game would have done well, would have hit its margins. But now it's like,
True.
it's just not.
Well,
getting
it's like going
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
true.
going to the movies, right? Sometimes you go to movies like, I'm okay with an action flick. I don't need it to have a crazy ass storyline. I just want to see some stuff blow up and some good action scenes, and that's good. And other times you want to, have some sort of out of body experience and like change your view on the world, seeing whatever movie, and like, oh, that was a cool plot twist,
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
want
I
to
think
watch,
so
if you
much.
want to see a developer interview that will make you go, oh, this is what we need our developers to be thinking, like all of the IGN coverage of Wilds with the interviews with the devs is really good. Because they go into things like, people are calling it an open world game, and we're like, I don't know I don't know if it's an open world game. We just wanted to make it more seamless. And like every time they talk about anything, whether what areas they're creating, what monsters they're putting anywhere, like what features they're putting in the game, quests are in the game, it's all about just what kind of experience do I want the player to have with this time? And they're like, well, we want it to be super seamless, like out there in the wilderness, just you versus all this mystical, mysterious stuff. And then they create a game around that. They're not like, well, we want it to be an open world game, and if it's an open world game, then it's got to have these kind of quests, and we need to hit this amount of hours
Clearing
and this amount
towns.
of it's refreshing to hear them talk about just like, this is the kind of game we want to make. We're not setting out to make a specific genre or a specific thing. It's just, this is what we want to make experience wise.
Yeah. But they're lucky that they already have something that's so
They're very well.
beloved,
Hey, the world hit 28 million.
Yeah, exactly.
28 million.
Like, they got a pretty good bet, so they, Capcom is giving them all the comfort in the world.
But Capcom was in a rough spot for a minute there, and they managed to come out of it with really great games. And now you have things like Kunitsugami, which is like, they don't expect that game to do really well. They're just like, our developers are going to flex their creative muscle a little bit and make something cool and unique.
Yep.
Got to get there, though. You don't get there by abandoning your studio and abandoning your people.
No.
Damn, that was a good question, huh?
That was a good question. Well, because it's another thing, right? Of like, if you have people who have been there for 20 years, they know how the engine works. They know how to work with all of the people around them. When you're just burning people out and kicking them out and closing studios and remaking studios, you lose all of that. Like, you have to start again every time. And that's why you're obviously seeing a lot of people switch to Unreal Engine 5, because everyone can learn how to do UE5. And when you hire people, they're like, we're using UE5. Okay, cool. I know how to do that. But you lose out on a lot of those like really cool things that specific engines can do.
Yeah, it's funny. You just made me think of somewhat related was how, like, it's not that Halo Infinite was like bad. I know some people didn't like parts of it, but even Halo, right, going, in 343's hands, and now Halo Studios found them in a situation where they're like, good was not good enough. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. And things are too expensive, so.
Well, I'll give us one last Twitter question. It's a lighthearted one.
All right.
This is from
like, is a hamburger a hot dog?
something
Or something
silly. This is from Blandy McBlanderson. The song "Get Down on It" by Kool and the Gang is clearly about getting down on the dance floor. I don't think I could manage that, but if it referred to an Excel spreadsheet, then I think I could get down on it. What is an it that you're confident you could get down on?
Well, everyone knows I love spreadsheets. So
You
I'm
do
right
love
there with Blandy,
spreadsheets.
but
It's actually a hard question. What could I get down on? Get down on it.
it is because my
Get
brain broke a
down
little.
on
I never really thought about what was Get Down on It about. Like, it's such an old.
Get down on the dance floor.
I just never thought about it. So it's about going out and just
Get
dancing
down
your
on
face
it.
off.
Yeah.
I could get down on, and this is actually in my future because I'm having a little mini staycation, is cocktails by the pool. You order them and they bring them to you. I could get down on sitting down with some cocktails.
Poolside cocktails.
Poolside cocktails.
Poolside cocktails. Not just normal cocktails.
Poolside service.
Poolside cocktails, yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I could get down on some hot chocolate by the fire watching Fran's Adventures in Monster Hunter World.
Oh, that's a nice one.
That's what I get down
Oh,
on.
man. I don't know on this one.
Fran can get
feel like
down on
there's-
kitchen renovation.
No,
Yeah.
that's driving me up the wall. But we're almost done with it. Actually, no, I got nothing. I mean, I'm a husk. We're gonna go with spreadsheets as well. I'm always down to get.
That
down
is
on
Fran's thing.
I'll-
You did steal it, Blandy. You stole Fran's thing.
Yeah, I'll think about it for next week though as well. My brain's fried. Yeah, I've been finishing up the kitchen nonsense. We'll have more to report next week, no doubt.
Okay. With pictures, hopefully.
The oven's supposed to come Saturday.
Okay.
I don't want to jinx it, so I don't want to talk about it. Because remember, the last one showed up, looked like a car.
This
hit.
is what happens with Bella when, like, if the vet asks me how she's doing, and I'm like, yeah, she's doing great. Immediately the day after, she's not doing great, and I need to talk to the vet. Immediately. Happens every time. Anyway. That's going to do it for episode 412.
Nailed it.
Wow. Join us next week for... Maybe I'll be here, maybe I won't. Maybe it'll be a little bit earlier. Maybe... we'll see, but there is that big Capcom thing next week. So also Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 will be out by next week as well, which is a huge drop. So
I'll be playing that.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
What day do you get your 5080 watts?
The 7th, which is
Just
the day after the podcast.
All right.
I will
2
report.
weeks till we get to hear all about our
So
5080.
I'll report.
If we don't hear from you in a week, it's something's blown up.
If something's gone terribly wrong, if you see me going, hi guys, I'm back with another sponsorship, this time for Monopoly Go, then you know that I need to also upgrade my entire computer.
True.
All right.
Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. Leave your questions in the YouTube comments for next week, maybe. And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.